Congressman, thanks for being here. And we wanted to talk to you today about your district. It's in the direct path of the storm. You're there now. What can you tell us?
Yeah, they have it coming straight to us. And what you hit on is an important piece of the challenges that we're facing on the ground. Is Hurricane Helene came through a little over a week ago, and we still have debris on the ground on my barrier islands that got flooded from Hurricane Helene. We saw 5 to 7 foot storm surge there. There's drywall and mattresses, and you imagine all of the things that are in your house that are on the side of the road. So county officials, waste management, the state has been trying in earnest to try to get all of that up in anticipation of Milton hitting. We had a 5 to 7 foot storm surge. We are now looking at a 12 to 15 foot storm surge if it comes on the current path. Now think about that for a second. Your house, the first story is 8 to 10 feet. So if you're 12 to 15 feet, you're in the second story of storm surge. These are people that just got flooded a couple of weeks ago, and they're going to get flooded probably into the second story. My counties have all been evacuation A level, B level, and C level. I've encouraged everyone, if you are in an evacuation route, to get out. You should have gotten out before today. You're going to start seeing tropical storm force winds today in my district, probably around early afternoon, and then the eye is going to come ashore really late tonight, early Thursday morning, but it's going to be a very serious storm. It's a Cat 5 now. It's probably going to hit as a Cat 4, so you're going to see winds of 140 miles an hour with the storm surge, so it's just going to be catastrophic for my district.
I mean, what are you doing? I mean, are you leaving?
I'm not in an evacuation zone. We live way out east, so we're good. We're going to stick it out and ride it out and try to be at the EOC, our Emergency Operations Center, if they need me there. I'm in coordination with all of our partners, but really it's the local and the state people that are the real people on the ground, obviously law enforcement. But one of the reasons why I've encouraged people to evacuate is because you become a strain on law enforcement and first responder resources. If you decide to stay in your home and you get stuck there and you start to get flooded, the police department and the sheriff's department can't get to you until after the storm passes. Yeah. So that's the challenge that our law enforcement officers face on the ground.
Do you feel that FEMA is doing as much as it could? I mean, look, you hate to question FEMA now in the middle of a natural disaster, but FEMA is under fire, you know that, for the response to this hurricane season, particularly Hurricane Helene. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer is calling for FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell to testify next month when the storms are history about the federal government's response. Watch this.
We have a lot of questions for FEMA, and I don't think anyone in Congress in either party can answer specifically where they spend their money. I certainly plan on bringing the FEMA director in mid-November. We don't want to do anything to hinder the efforts that are ongoing now, but I think a lot of these questions hopefully will get answered in the middle of November. At the end of the day, I think we need to have a complete review of FEMA, just like we did with the Secret Service when the House Oversight Committee brought in Kimberly Cheadle.
So what about that, Congressman? What has the coordination been like with federal agencies on the ground?
Yeah, there's no coordination with them. I still have a county that was hit by Hurricane Ian over 2 years ago that still haven't gotten reimbursed from FEMA. The assets on the ground are your state and your local municipalities. FEMA and the Department of Homeland Security are more concerned about resettlement of illegal immigrants that they have led into our country than they are American citizens. And you're seeing that after Helene all the way across the southeast, and you're seeing that here with the prep of these storms. The Florida Department of Emergency Management is the boots on the ground as it relates to response to this. The Florida National Guard and your local law enforcement and emergency responders. I can go on a FEMA call. They have FEMA calls every couple of days, and it's basically just coordinating what already we have assets on the ground. And it's really, really frustrating when you see Secretary Mayorkas shifting funds to pay for illegal immigrants resettlement and not paying out where American citizens are getting absolutely catastrophically clobbered by hurricanes.
Yeah, I mean, look, the White House is trying to push back on this idea that they used FEMA money to house for and care for illegal migrants, Congressman. And, we know the truth because KJP laid it all out 2 years ago as far as what they were doing. Here's Karine Jean-Pierre, White House spokesperson in 2022. Watch this.
FEMA regional administrators have been meeting with city officials on site to coordinate available federal support from FEMA and other federal agencies. Funding is also available through FEMA's Emergency Food and Shelter Program to eligible local governments and non-for-profit organizations upon request to support humanitarian relief for migrants. We'll continue to do what we can as a federal government to support these cities as we rebuild our asylum processing system after it was gutted by the Trump administration.
So what about that, Congressman? You know, she claims that it was gutted before they got there. They just gutted it. Alejandro Mayorkas the other day told us FEMA is almost out of money. So, I mean, does it matter that it's a different fund, one for food assistance and another fund that's earmarked for something else at FEMA? Bottom line is they were using FEMA money to care for and house illegal migrants when American citizens are, you know, desperate for help.
Yep. That's right. Bottom line is they were using FEMA money that is made for people, Americans, that are gotten hit by a natural disaster for illegal immigrants, resettlement, and housing. That's what they were doing. They admitted it. They have admitted it. And this is the danger of passing these CRs. These CRs continue these programs. The bill that I voted for, which was the Republican bill on the Homeland Security bill, defunded the resettlement program and would have taken that money and kept it in FEMA, not in this resettlement of immigrant program that they created. And that's why we can't continue to fund continuing resolutions to fund the government, because you're continuing to fund these programs. But the bottom line is this administration has a priority of resettlement of illegal immigrants and not a priority of American citizens that have been hit by a natural disaster.
Why? I mean, what's the logic?
I think they want illegals to come into our country so they can then give them the ability to vote. You've seen that in California. You've seen that in New York. It's a political calculation that they've made. Why would you let in 380 known terrorists into our country, 15,000 criminals into our country if you cared about the safety and security of the American people?
I have no answer for that. You're right. Congressman, it's good to see you this morning. Stay safe. We'll be checking on your safety and your constituents.